Welcome to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201. We have a great episode for you today. We're going to talk to you about Severance, epic return to Apple TV, The Pitt, and Hospice Joe's farewell. First, for those of you, it's been 3 years since Severance has aired on television, and I am glad they do that previously. This is what you missed on thing because I really honestly forgot most of it. I remember the innies escaped in the real world and the brain shut off, and Mark's wife, who is dead in the real world, is the therapy person in Lumen, and that Helen was doing this whole little conference thing saying everyone should be severed and all of this, all the conversations. It's great. So we're back. We're back to Lumen, baby, and it's great. A lot of changes. And now, just want to say, I was not given the first 6 episodes. Apparently, a lot of people were given the first 6 episodes, so I don't have access to all of that. I am just going to here talk to you about episode 1 because it dropped a couple hours ago and everyone has seen it. And obviously, Severance is going to be one of the top 10 shows of 2025. Hopefully, Severance Season 3, because it is on the WGA website that it is in development, comes out next year, because this is a show that we need to have every year. And I understand the way this show is made is so complicated, and it's not just because of that wonderful 5-minute claymation scene we saw, but they shoot in this weird, secret, abandoned laboratory that's in South Jersey. Like, that Lumen building that they work at is a real building in South Jersey that they shoot at. I just want people to understand that. All of that is basically, the hallway and all of that is shot in that building. And so is like the town that Mark and them live in the real world. That's all in South Jersey. Anyway, to discuss Severance Season 2, Episode 1, let's do a little recap. So it has been 5 to 6 months since the innies escaped into the outie world. And Mark comes back, and it's exactly like a continuation of where their brain shut off. He's running, he's screaming, and he has 3 new co-workers. And one speaks Italian. The other is this other guy named Mark that's old. And we're introduced to a new, crazy, evil Chinese 12-year-old boss who everybody is terrified at. Mark, who obviously is really wondering what happened in the real world that they're making us come back in, which is fair. Now, remember, I haven't seen the other episodes yet, so I guess we're going to get the flashback episode that shows Lumen and congressional hearings of how they're trying to get them back inside and all the other situations. Mark folds up a note. He's trying to write a note to his real-world self, and I assume Mark would be a little smarter because he gets caught doing it. He should have put the note in his underwear or something, and I get it. They're kind of naive people and everything, so Mark didn't really, he got caught and he got in trouble. Mark runs again, and he speaks into this loudspeaker, and I guess the message somehow gets out there, and I assume there's now some type of oversight board at Lumen for, let's say, HR, any complaints or something, because things change. The gang is back right for the next day, okay? And, everybody pops back in just like what happened when Season 1 ended. Okay, so Irving is upset because he was screaming, God, I can't even remember. The bird. He was screaming, bird! And, remember, because Dylan was, holding the machine together. But then we see Helly, who I guess is it really, is she Helene? That's what I think. It just seemed kind of odd. Just pay attention to when they're back in the computers. It seems like she didn't know how to turn it on. And remember, it's not like Lowe's memory. Their life, there's no sleeping for them, which, Rick and Morty did a great Severance episode, by the way. It's very, similar to it. But I think it's a spy because I think Lumen is now trying to see, is there trying to be a rise? Are they going to rise up? Are the innies going to rise up and make innies great again? We don't know. I think we will know. And I guess if Mark tries to fuck Helly, he's going to know. Because remember, Mark and Helly had chemistry. And I really hope Mark and, Kelly fuck. dude, nasty, right? I hope we get some nasty, because remember the waffle party, I guess, is like where strippers came down and, all the other nonsense. It'd be crazy, right? If like in Lumen, right? If you got pregnant inside, right? Like, can you imagine the swap of the brain, like, and then just suddenly, like, you're not pregnant anymore? Like, chaos. We get this funny, anyway, so we have the evil 12-year-old Chinese boss now, who's a girl. Then we get this 5-minute clay HR video, like claymation HR video, which reminds me of, like, I used to work at Target when I was in college, and they send you a lot of, like, anti-union propaganda videos that are so annoying. The modern equivalent is now, like, those stupid DEI diversity videos they make you watch. They're like, you should be, learn about all the cultures and be sensitive and all that. But whatever, Trump won, so that bullshit's going away. But the claymation video was very similar to that. And it's like their entire story. The claymation video is basically a 5-minute recap of everything that happened in Severance Season 1. So, like, you could just jump straight into Season 2 and you're fine, because that 5-minute claymation video explains everything that happened in Season 1. Outside, and Mark, explains the whole dead wife and the real wife thing, and everyone kind of explains what happened in the real world. And Dylan is, has a lot of great lines this episode. First, he's saying, why are you a child? Because I was thinking, wait, is a 12-year-old severed? And I'm like, no, that's right, Pico, because if you work for Lumen and you're not one of the people with the badges, you're not severed. Like, you remember everything. And that makes a lot of sense. They explain everything that happened, but Helen is, like, lying, and I'm kind of trying to remember, why is Helen lying? That's right, because she owns the company. She is, like, the thing, and so I understand why she's lying, but the line didn't seem really creative, and I think maybe she was watching enough research videos of her innie so she could, like, play the part, I guess, and it sucks. It is. I don't think that, that's, I guess this is going to be our twist the entire season. Like, is that really Helly, or is that Helene in the whole situation? Because we haven't seen the real world yet, okay? And you know what? I'm glad we have a great weekly show again to watch. It took 3 years, and I understand it was because of the writer strike, the actor strikes, allegedly Ben Stiller fighting his other executive producer, but I don't care. Well worth it. I'm glad it's back. It's fantastic. Okay? The creepiest show on television. Because one day this could be real, and it's going to be fascinating and people get severed, but it looks like they're back. They're working on the magic computers. I don't know if you guys saw the Grand Central Severance pop-up thing they had with the box and everyone working, because I stopped by it the other day, and this shit is creepy. I took pictures of the computers. They actually worked and everything. So, fascinating show. I'm glad it's back. Ben Stiller becoming one of the best television writers and directors of our time is something I did not expect. But you know what? A lot of people we didn't expect to become great directors and writers are here. We have Bryce Dallas Howard. What's it called? The dude from How I Met Your Mother who does Shrinking. What the fuck is his name? I can't believe I'm typing this. This is my bad. Oh, Marshall, Jason Segel, and obviously whatever. Anyway, back to the Pitt. Pitt episode 3 also dropped today on HBO Max. Another great prestige show. It is Grey's Anatomy with a budget, which is crazy to say because Grey's Anatomy has been on television for 22 years. But we are now in hour 3 of the Pitt, because for those of you who don't understand, each episode of the Pitt is 1 hour in real time, very 24. I kind of wish they had the 24 countdown clock, which is still the most like sound that stays in my head, forever. So, from the previous episode, another girl comes in who had OD'd on fentanyl and a Narcan worked. Little did we know, she got the drugs from the brain dead boy. Okay, and the parents are cursing her out, like thinking the girl gave the son drugs, but no, they're like, no, the fucking son gave the drugs. The son is the bad person. And they're still like on incel watch because the dude is gonna like shoot up a school or whatever, like escape the hospital. And obviously, probably towards our later episodes, we're gonna have like the mass shooting victims all come into the hospital and overrun the trauma center. We also have that the one dude died who was giving chest compressions because it was just a freak accident. The doctor did nothing wrong. We have a guy who has a nail in his heart. Legitimately, like the nail is in his heart. Very, Jesus, Jesus crucified type situation going on. And it's interesting because he's like cursing them out and he wants to go to the better hospital because I guess this is like the shitty hospital on like the south side of Pittsburgh. And he's like, I want to go to the good one. They knock him out. They get the needle out. That's great. We learn how there's like a scrub recycling thing going on. Not a lot really happened in this episode, though. It's interesting. I like it. You know, I understand it's hard to do this 15-hour thing. I enjoy... Listen, if you gave Grey's Anatomy the ability to see, like, how graphic the actual hospital procedures are, like they are in this show, I think it would give, like, a good revival. But I'm just saying, I don't think the Meredith Grey of our current season, or intern Meredith Grey, or McDreamy, or McSteamy, or any of that could work in this hospital. This hospital just seems incompetent. It's not a good teaching hospital. I mean, they're trying to do this teaching, like, this is what you do. Remember, push an epi. Get them a Buterol. Get them Narcan. An ambulance gets stolen right out of the ER fucking parking lot at the end of the episode, and the ambulance and the EMT like almost gets her arm chopped off. You know, a lot of Pittsburgh seems like a dangerous place. It's great. And then our final thing, is Hospice Joe did his farewell speech yesterday. Well, 2 days ago. It's Friday as I'm recording this. And, he's really doing this whole, I believe in democracy and blah, blah, blah. And I think great values and the countries are going to be run over by oligarchs and blah, 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 blah. That's great. Joe Biden's speech is basically from a 1980 era. He fumbled it a lot of times. He looked like a sad old man that is in hospice. And I'm going to keep calling him Hospice Joe. Joe Biden does not get any respect because he should have dropped out in 2022. But you know what? Hospice Joe being so incompetent and Kamala Harris losing and Trump winning, bringing the end of DEI culture, cancel culture, Me Too, and all the other shit that happened in 2016 as a backlash to Trump because people viewed Trump as legitimate because he never won the popular vote. But, after 3 Trump elections and him just doing better each time, this election being a backlash to the whole people didn't view him as legitimate in 2017 just showed we're like back to pre-2016 cultural norms as we're seeing all the like nonsensical performative activism things being removed from society and the stupid DSA people being the ones out of touch. I'm sorry, guess what? No one gives a fuck what Rachel Maddow has to say. Okay, so MSNBC putting Rachel Maddow back on 5 days a week, thinking they're going to save the fucking network. Or, look, Alex Wagner's super hot, but I don't know what the fuck she's supposed to do reporting outside the Capitol. Like, okay, all of Trump's nominees are probably going to get confirmed, except for maybe Tulsi or Kash Patel, whatever. And they're going to get the super tax cut bill. I'm just saying, if you're a Republican in Congress and you're listening to this, I have a suggestion for the new Trump tax bill that would personally benefit me. Raise the SALT cap, but not just raise the SALT cap. Allow the SALT cap to stack with the standard deduction and also let union dues be tax deductible and also stack as long as you're not doing stack with the standard and SALT, okay? Like, don't make it that it's only for itemized. That's it. That's all I want. I don't give a shit at all for anything else that's going to happen in the Trump era. I want the mass deportations. I've said this a lot. A lot of people I know who voted for Kamala Harris, who are also in New York City, want mass deportations because Queen looked like a third world country. The Roosevelt Hotel looks like a third world country. And I'm kind of glad we're done with the bullshit, criminal justice reform, cash bail, all this other nonsense because people felt bad about a couple of bad incidents. Okay, progressivism is over. Also, Kristen Anderson Stewart, I believe is her name. I always get her name wrong because it's very long. And let me find this real quick. She writes. She wrote a great art. Oh, here. Who wrote this? Kristen. God, I gotta. Whatever. I'm gonna put the link in the notes about like the Democrats' party problem with like white men under 45. Actually, not even white men, all men. Because like the Democrats who seem to like be the voice of reason want like emasculated men who are fucking annoying dweebs like Brian Tyler Cohen or Harry Sisson or the not like us white boy who was at the Georgia Kamala Harris rally, or fucking God, I can't even think of these other fucking losers. But like, that's the only type of men they want in the party, with the pronouns and the bio and all this nonsense. And they're like wondering, why are men not, want to vote Democrat? Also, like, the thing that still annoys me, and I hope to God Ben Wickler is not DNC chair. Ben Wickler did a stupid fucking tweet with a bunch of acronyms that nobody in fucking real life says, and did not mention men or white men or any type of men at all in the entire thing. And I'm kind of glad Polymarket took notice to that, because it looks like Ben Wickler isn't going to be DNC chair. Thankfully, I don't care if he like made Wisconsin the closest state or whatever bullshit. We learned people are done with performative activist diversity politics, okay? People don't want that bullshit. So the fact that you think this is still acceptable in 2025, you're done. Stop fucking talking like a white guilt NYU student who shouts free Palestine, okay? We are done with that. Hospice Joe can go back to being fucking irrelevant, because now his entire term is sandwiched between 2 Trump terms and extended the entire Trump era to 12 years, okay? Joe Biden was incompetent. That is everything. Enjoy the show, whatever. I don't care. That's it for this episode. Remember to follow, like, subscribe, all the other bullshit.